permanent issues of politics is how to engage younger people, and the conference here has backed calls for the voting age to be lowered from the present 18 to 16. Currently, the power to alter that voting age lies with Westminster. But the SNP at conference here argues if you can get married, you can join the armed forces, you can pay tax before you're 18, then you should also be entitled to vote. Let's hear some of that debate this morning.
I received my monthly salary on May the 2nd, which was the eve of poll, and I picked up this pay slip on the way out the door. I remember opening it out in the subway and looking at it and saying, contract number, gross pay, net pay, tax paid. I thought to myself, tax paid to a government which gives young adults no say on entering an illegal war. Tax paid that gives young adults no say on spending billions of pounds on Trident. And a government which denies Scottish people the right to a referendum on their constitutional future. Now, the facts are, most young people are opposed to the Iraq war. Many of them were at the Aileen 365 protest and opposed Trident. Well, a lot of us desire to have a voice on polling day. Now, to pick up a 16-year-old's tax on polling day is fine, but it is complete hypocrisy to deny them of a say in politics and deny them to an input in society and how it is shaped when they financially contribute to society. Now, a certain political party take the line that at 16 you aren't mature enough to vote. Are they therefore saying that at 16 you don't have a say in weapons of mass destruction, your future, the education system in which you are educated, the health service which will go if you're sick? Now, delegates, I sit my driving test on Monday coming, and I hope you all wish me well, because I'm going to need it. But when I pass, I do plan to buy myself a car. Will that party in question think that I'm too immature to pay road tax or fuel tax? Now, fellow nationalists, I would like to finish by quoting Scotland's first ever SNP First Minister, who said upon winning Gordon, "There is a wind of change blowing through Scottish politics." Delegates, I hereby call on the UK Government to blow a wind of change through Scottish democracy, equality and fairness by giving our young people the respect and the voice that they deserve in society. I urge them to transfer the legislation in the Scotland Act, which controls local government voting, to the devolved Parliament here in Scotland and continue this new revolution in Scotland. I would urge you to support this resolution and show Scotland's young people that we believe it is imperative that they have a say in this country's democratic process. Thank you.
Well, the delegates applauded that speech and they duly endorsed that call for the voting age to be reduced from 18 to 16. To discuss that, I'm joined now by Aileen Campbell, the youngest MSP, the youngest member of the Scottish Parliament. 27, I believe.
27, yes.
Very good, very good.
I'll not take offence at you asking my age.
It's coming up for roughly half my age, but there we go, these things can't have everything. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What about the argument that at 16 you're just not quite there in terms of the maturity and the discernment that comes from marking that cross or that 1, 2, 3 on the ballot paper?
Well, arguably that same argument can be made of somebody older. I think 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds are as likely to know about politics as a 37, 67 or 57-year-old, and it's about
just giving that. Some of them never learn. I'll give you that one, certainly.
And it's just about, at the moment, the point was made during the debate that 16 and 17-year-olds can pay taxation and they're being taxed and they're not getting properly represented.
Well, back to the revolution, are we? No taxation without representation.
It's about giving them a fair voice, a fair representation in politics, and letting them air their views and opinions properly.
But are 16-year-olds clamouring to have the vote? It doesn't strike me that there's a tremendous amount of interest at that age.
Well, I think the Scottish Youth Parliament did a poll of several thousand young people in Scotland about what they felt, and only 17% of them felt that they shouldn't have the vote, or that it shouldn't be lowered. So I think that was quite a good poll, a good indication of the way that Scottish young people want the voting age to go.
But isn't turnout relatively bad at the moment? Would you think 16 and 17-year-olds would exercise that right when to be given, or is it more likely that they would join the ranks of those who don't bother voting?
Well, I think also looking at sort of past polls and past tests that have shown that, I think in Germany, where there's areas that have voting age at 16, that the turnout is much higher. Also, I think it's proven that if you vote at an early age, you are therefore more likely to vote on into your adult life. So I think it would be a good thing if you grasp them then.
Do you think, this question of apathy among young people, and frankly among all, could we tackle this in schools, perhaps with I don't know, civics lessons or something like that, or is that done already, or should more be done? Do you believe in that?
I think that's getting looked at to be promoting citizenship. I think it's I think there is room for that to be developed in schools. Perhaps it's not to be done in a way that says you must vote or you must vote for a particular party, because given the franchise is about your independent right and your capacity to make your own informed choice, I think it could be built into schools possibly. But and I think if you're getting taught about politics, the political system, then perhaps at that point you are much more informed than many other people who are a bit older.
You mentioned it yourself there, but there is always anxiety with this, that it starts becoming propaganda for the political system or even for political parties. But you believe it could be done reasonably well, just inculcating a knowledge of what it means to vote, basically.
Well, I know when I was at school, I studied modern studies, and you were told about elections, you were told about the history of parties, you were told about how elections are conducted in other countries. It's just about, I suppose, developing that and saying that, well, if you want to have a say in society, then your right as a citizen is to show that, and by voting in the elections, and to have a direct say in what's going on in the country.
What about the argument that was raised during the debate that this is, of course, a reserved power to Westminster, even for local elections, which are currently run by Holyrood?
Well, I think actually Gordon Brown has been looking at this as well for a long time. It may be that it would be better if it came up and it was another power given back to the Scottish Parliament. I think that's been taken on by the recent Gould report as well. But I think if we all want to look at the different parliaments across the UK, if they want to sort of try and re-engage with the youth members, young people in Scotland, then they should look towards getting the right to vote brought down to 16.
When did you first become engaged in politics? Was it age 16 or even earlier?
15, 16, yeah. I joined the SNP when I was 16, yes. I was always interested in politics, and a lot of my contemporaries were, and I chose to follow my interest in politics by joining a political party. But there are other ways to become engaged in politics. A lot of young people are involved in peace movements and CND and anti-poverty, climate change. It's not that they're not interested in what's going around them, it's just trying to channel that into ways that can benefit society.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us on that question.